Welcome to the Survivor's Chair podcast, a podcast where we break down our stories and our trauma, understanding how they have impacted our career and our life. This is a place where we break free from shame, own our truth, and step into our power, one story at a time. Hi, I'm Kim, an adoptee, a former foster youth, hairstylist, salon owner, breast cancer, and complex trauma survivor. So join us, pull up a chair, in this no sugarcoating, no holding back, honest conversation about healing and success. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 7 of the Survivor's Chair podcast. And if you don't know me, and if you're new here, my name is Kim Russell. I am the host of the Survivor's Chair podcast. And we are here today to talk about words and how words matter. What we say matters. What we say to ourselves matters. What we say out in the world matters. What we consume, what we watch, what we listen to, how all of that has an impact on our everyday life. To be honest, what I consume now, as far as books and TV and music and social media, it has changed drastically over the last few years as I've gone down this path of getting to know myself a little bit better and coming into my true self. Because as an adoptee, business owner, you have this shadow of who you're supposed to be as a business owner. And then as an adoptee, you don't really know who you are because some adoptees out there, like myself, we didn't have any information. It was illegal back then to give any information back in 1972. And you just didn't have any information about yourself. So you had to kind of make it up. So you never really had a sense of self. That true balanced feeling of who you really are as a person. Like who was Kim Russell in her 20s? I couldn't even tell you. Who is Kim Russell in her 50s? I have a much grounded sense of myself now than I did back then, although I'm not going to lie, I still try to figure it out. So what we consume matters, and it changes over time as we change. And I think more importantly than that is if we make small changes in what we are consuming every day and what we are saying out loud to ourselves and to other people every day, that retrains our brain. I've talked about that a million times. Yes, I'll talk about it a million times more. But the more that we can input good, positive things into our brain and what we say, the better we're going to feel. It's pretty amazing. I remember there being a time when I was so happy just complaining about my everyday and how awful it was. And mind you, my days were never awful. I worked a lot, yes, but I had a great life. But I was busy complaining. I was complaining about people. I was complaining about how people live their lives. And let me tell you, I could care less about how other people live their lives now. I don't even pay attention to it. But I was consumed with what other people were doing and how they were doing it. That was really because I didn't want to focus on my own stuff. I wanted to look or assume or appear to look perfect, like I had it all together when I was falling apart on the inside. So what I was saying every day was just reinforcing how I really felt on the inside, complaining, just like bitching about anything I possibly could, complaining about being busy, complaining about having a busy business and a successful business. Who complains about that? Complaining about just anything, complaining about the traffic, complaining about the meal that I got wasn't up to par or whatever. But now it's very different. And I can see not only what I said out loud every day that just reinforced those icky feelings, it was who I surrounded myself with. And I'm going to tell you, when you are in a not so great place or you're just not feeling good about yourself or you're struggling to try to figure it out, you surround yourself with people who reinforce those negative feelings. If you feel insecure about yourself, about who you are, about your body, any of it, about what you do for a career or whatever, I guarantee you there's at least one person in your life that is reinforcing those feelings. And it's not until we change our own behaviors and we change it's not until we change how we're thinking and what we say to ourselves that we even notice that those people are around. Again, I talk about little habits, changing little things here and there. Be aware of when you're making yourself the butt of a joke, how stupid you are, or how uncoordinated you are, or ability to do math, and I have to catch myself, especially after this cancer diagnosis and going through breast cancer treatment and putting on weight and my body not being the same as far as not being able to physically do what I was able to do before. But every time I do something, like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for my body. Thank you, body. I can't believe that I just did that. I'm so excited that I just did that. Now I'm going to do more. I know I can do more. And it's what you say to yourself that matters. If you say, oh, I can't do that, I'm never going to be able to do that, chances are you're never going to be able to do it because you're never going to try to do it because you've already talked yourself out of it. But if you say things to yourself like, I know I can try. I can try to do that and I can try my best and I have no control over the outcome, but I'm going to do my best. Get rid of the word hope. I hope I can do that. I hope that's going to be good. I hope. Change that around. If you really listen to it, it sounds like, wah, wah, geez, I hope that's going to turn out all right. Instead of, you know what? That's going to be great. That's going to turn out wonderful. I can't wait to see how that's going to turn out. Can you hear the difference in that? Can you hear the difference between I'm so fat, I'm so ugly, I'm so out of shape, to I am so grateful for my body. I'm going to walk every day and show it how much I care about it. I love my body. I love my body and what it does for me. I mean, there's a difference. There's a difference. And it matters. Gosh, I think the biggest thing that matters right now in most of our lives is social media. And right now, where things are so divided and one thing is one way and one thing is completely the opposite the other way. And if you see something that doesn't align with who you are, and it sends you spinning. And you can't do that to yourself. I was just on vacation for 2 weeks and I did not go on social media. Very, very, very minimal did I go on social media. And man, did I feel good. Now, I limit a lot of my social media. I have a timer on it so that it shuts off, or at least it comes on and says, you want to close it, or you're supposed to be sleeping, or whatever you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes I bypass it, I'm not going to lie, but I notice how that makes me feel when I sit there and I scroll. And I do understand the importance of it for business. Absolutely get the importance of it. It's a very important place to get your message out, to share information with people who might not get it any other way. But I have gotten to a place where I felt like I had to post every day. If I was going to see results, I had to post every day. I had to do this, I had to do that. I do not do that anymore. I'm still working on getting myself on a schedule since my cancer treatment. And, that's been really tricky because I really want to enjoy my life and my time. So trying to get a good balanced schedule where there's enough work and there's enough play. However, I'm going to balance that out. I don't know yet, but I don't focus as much on social media as I used to. But at the same time, every time I post something, there's an intention behind it. Whether it's to share some of my life, it's to celebrate some victories, it's to educate people on subjects that they might not know. It's to share some of my story, always in hopes to help or educate somebody else. So there's always an intention behind being on social media. And before I do any of these podcasts, I sit down and I say, what is my intention? And I think my intention today, that's another word that we could get rid of, because we could be more sure of ourselves. I know I have an intention behind this podcast today. And my intention is to have somebody walk away after they listen and be aware of the words that they say. And maybe, just maybe, one person will change that and slowly retrain their brain and slowly get more into a positive mindset and just feel better about themselves. That is my intention. That is my goal. So words matter. What we consume matters. I had somebody point out to me when I was writing posts, and she's a ghostwriter and been very helpful with my book. And I so appreciate her. You don't know when people are going to come into your life and change it. But she pointed out that I use the word just a lot in my writing. And she feels that the word just kind of, I don't know, takes away from, whatever it is that you're writing. And, I have to agree with her. And I did not realize that until she said that to me. And then I looked at my writing, and I still look at my writing now, and I still put in just a lot. And then I have to go back in and take it out. But the more I read it with I just wanted to know, I just thought it was good, I just had to take a break. Sometimes it fits in, but most of the time it doesn't. And, she made me aware of that one word and how the impact it has on the reader as they're reading something. So it's very interesting. So that self-talk, that loop that we have in our head, most of us, and I'm going to say mostly women, because we struggle with insecurities and to live up to society and body image. And that just makes me crazy. It's like the billionaires. There's 1% out there. There's 1% of the female population that looks like Barbie, even though we know Barbie isn't possible. But, what we see in magazines and on TV, what's airbrushed, what's changed, what's injected, what's added, what's taken away. And then we strive for these unrealistic goals, and we feel like crap about ourselves. Again, it's what we surround ourselves with. Don't look at the stupid magazine. Pick something else up. Don't read it. Find something else to read. Find something that's going to make you feel good. Get a positive book, audiobook, whatever it is. I'm a big believer of, even just listening to positive hypnosis or, whatever it is, that it can change the way that you think. It changes the way that you feel. We have to also pay attention to the people around us, because like I said a couple minutes ago, the people around us reinforce how we already feel, because how we already feel, we're putting it out into the world. Oh, I feel fat today. I feel ugly today. Or I feel stupid. I'm so stupid. I'm not a good cook. I'm not a good athlete. I don't do this. I don't do that. I can't do this, can't do that. And we usually have people around us that go, oh yeah, you know what? You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. And it just reinforces how we feel. And it's hard when you have big dreams. I always have a big dream. I always have some new idea going on. Those of you who know me out there, I am always thinking of something new to do, how to do it. It's always a risk. I have always been a risk taker. I wouldn't have opened my business at 25 years old if I wasn't. And that's just how I've been. But there has been people my entire life that have challenged every single thing I've ever done. Whether it's running in a race, whether it's buying a car, whether it's buying a shirt, whether it's trying out a new business venture, a new idea, there's always going to be pushback. But I know now, when I have those big dreams and I have those big ideas, you have chosen people. I have chosen people that I share that with. I share it with the ones that I know are gonna reinforce the positive. I know they're gonna support me. I know they're gonna be excited for me, even if they think I'm a little crazy. Because most of the time, what I'm gonna do is a little bit off the wall. But why not? You only live once, and the only regret you ever have is not trying. It's not failing. I don't care about failing. Failing is a lesson. Failing is an opportunity for me to learn something new about myself and learn something new about things that are out there. So failing, I could care less about that. I don't care what people think. If people look at me and say, oh, she failed, that's their own insecurity of perfection, which we could talk about that all day, every day too. But I try to make sure that I share my hopes, my dreams, my crazy ideas with people who are going to support me and lift me up and say, go for it. Sometimes I test the waters and I share it with somebody that I know is going to just say, what are you going to do that for? That doesn't sound like a good idea. That's stupid. And then I always say, why did I do that? I know that's the response I'm going to get. But sometimes we just can't help ourselves. But we have the opportunity to fuel our growth, fuel our learning, or stunt our growth and stunt our learning by what we consume out there in the world. We have the opportunity to feel good, to have positive emotions, or have negative emotions, have a negative outlook of the world and the people in it by what we consume. So I don't know about you, but my choice always is to feel good, not feel like crap. I used to watch The Walking Dead. I think we all did, right? So good. And I'm not gonna say it's not a good show. It is a good show. But that is something I can't watch anymore. I can't watch violent TV. I can't watch drama TV. I've never watched an episode of The Kardashians or any of those housewives of whoever. And I know people love it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't or you couldn't. You're not supposed to watch that. You watch that if it works for you. But I always felt like I had so much of my own drama in my life. The last thing I needed to do was consume other people's drama. And like I said, if that's your thing, that is your thing. There is no judgment from me. I am just talking about what makes me feel good. What makes me feel good is The Voice. What makes me feel really, really good is Love on the Spectrum. And if you haven't watched that and you want to feel good, my gosh, you can't watch that and not feel good. And I wish that all of us could be as honest and raw and real as those people on Love on the Spectrum. Such a feel-good show. If you don't shed a tear on that one, I don't know, you gotta have a cold heart or something. But we want to create this nourishing, emotional ecosystem, something that just really makes us feel good. So I'm going to challenge you, because I like to challenge you. I like homework, is to pay attention. Pay attention to what you say to yourself. Pay attention to how you talk in the world. Do you always hate your meal? Do you always hate the waitress? Do you always hate the traffic? Do you always hate the airport? Do you always hate do you get riled up? Or can you just say to yourself, you know what? This is going to be okay. Yep, my plane is late. I'm going to have to sit here for an extra 2 hours. What do I want to do at that time? You know what? I'm going to consume a good book. Or I'm going to watch a great TV show. Or I'm going to make a new friend next to me, which is usually my thing. Every day we have a choice how we walk out into the world. And the more negativity that we consume and the more negativity that is around us, the more we're going to hate our life and what it's all about. So we have a choice to walk out that door every day or put your feet on the ground when you get out of bed and say, you know what, this is going to be a great day. We all have aches and pains, right? Especially after cancer treatment. But I have a choice. I can put my feet on the ground every day and go, oh my God, this is going to be the worst day ever. I didn't get any sleep. Everything hurts, blah, blah, blah. Or I can wake up and say, am I thankful for another day? How am I going to live this day? And I'm also going to talk about toxic positivity a little bit, because that's a whole other subject. When I'm saying things like this, I don't want you to not feel. I don't want you to go out and pretend that everything is flowers and butterflies and whatever every day, all day, because that is not realistic. The reality is we're going to have a shitty day every once in a while. But the most important thing is to not stay in that shitty day. Do not take 10 minutes of frustration and turn it into 24 hours of frustration. Be frustrated, feel it, speak it, and then move through it and get to the other side of it. Do not take 10 minutes of frustration and turn it into 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever, of a bad day. So I ask you, my friends, how are you going to start your day? What little change are you going to do? I have friends that meditate. I have friends that go for a walk. I have friends that journal. I journal. I love to journal. Again, am I consistent? No. The last thing I want you to feel when you're listening to this podcast is there's some person out there that's perfect and you, for some reason, are struggling all the time. Let me tell you, I have my days and I slack on nutrition and I slack on exercise and I slack on sleeping and I slack on a lot of things. But you know what? You have opportunity the next day. Next day is a new day. That's almost like, when people are trying to eat healthy and they have a bad meal. And that bad meal turns into a month of bad meals instead of the next meal just having another opportunity to have a good meal. It's the same thing as not turning 10 bad minutes into 24 bad hours. One meal doesn't change the trajectory of your life. It doesn't have to. And people don't have the power over your day. That's another thing. Let's talk about that for a second. People don't have the power over your day. Nobody can make you feel anything. You can't make anybody feel anything. They are responsible for their feelings. You are responsible for your feelings. So if somebody is in a crappy mood, shall we say, unless they're mad at me and they're going to voice that they're mad at me or upset with me, I don't pay any attention to it. And if I'm at a store, a grocery store or something, and the counter people are cranky or whatever, I always look at them and I think, I wonder what's going on in their life that they feel this way, because there's something underlying that makes people feel and do the things that they do, good or bad. If somebody's complaining and feels shitty all the time, they got a lot more going on. And I hope that they can change that. All I can hope for people. So nobody makes me feel a certain way. I don't go into a grocery store with a cranky clerk and carry that around with me for even 1 minute. Not 1 minute. As a matter of fact, I will typically engage with them, be really kind to them, and hope that changes the trajectory of their day. So anyways, my friends, the bottom line of this podcast is to just pay attention. Pay attention to what you say to yourself. Pay attention to what you put out there. Because whatever we put out there, we get back 100 times more. And it is so true. When you're a giver in a healthy way, you get so much more out of life. When you help people, you get so much more out of life. So much more fulfilling and happy and joyful. Let's talk about toxic positivity a little bit. And I can relate to this in the cancer world. I might have already talked about this, but I'm going to talk about it again. Toxic positivity is when you feel like every second of every day, you have to be upbeat, you have to stay positive, you can't let any negativity into your life because it's going to send you spinning, and you don't have the capacity to listen or to be there for people who are struggling. And I've found that during my cancer journey. And most cancer patients will say the same thing. People don't want to talk about the bad stuff. And some are, because you got to stay positive, stay strong, stay positive. But when you're going through something hard in life that's not positive and you have true emotions and feelings around it, you need to get those out of your body. You need to talk them out. You need to do something to get rid of them. I had a few friends that I could talk to about my deepest, darkest fears and worries and anger and sadness. I could get all of that out with. And if I had gone around and pretended that everything was great, this cancer journey is a piece of cake. I had people that just thought I should be positive all the time, because if I wasn't positive, then the cancer would take over, or I would start talking. Even if I started saying something like, I'm struggling today, somebody would say, keep your chin up, stay strong, talk to you later. And that was because they couldn't handle it. But let me tell you, if you've got somebody going through a cancer journey, don't do that. And if you've done it already, it's okay. I'm here to tell you to do something different. Don't do that. And if you can't listen, tell them, I'm really sorry. This is really hard for me. And I am probably not your person, or let's try again. Whatever you got to say. But the chin up, stay strong, and I'll talk to you later. Text me if you need anything. Nobody going through hard things are going to text you when they need anything. Nobody. And everybody that's been through hard things is going to tell you that. You just need to show up. Just show up. Don't wait to be asked. Just show up. So toxic positivity is something that a lot of people expected me to have during my cancer journey, and something that people do have to hide their true emotions because they're too difficult for them to feel. So they stuff them down. They don't feel them, but they always come out in a different way. They have anxiety, panic attacks, depressed, stomach issues, headaches, backaches, neck aches, jaw aches. I could go on and on. It comes out somewhere. Suppressed emotions find their way out. They worm their way out somewhere in our body. And then we go to the doctors over and over and over and over and over again, trying to figure out what's wrong with us, when most of the time
You need to get those shitty emotions, shitty feelings, the hurt, the pain, the sadness, the anger out. So toxic positivity, that's what that is. Being positive and upbeat is one thing, but masking hard emotions and feelings with positivity is toxic positivity. Every day is a learning lesson, isn't it? Say something good to yourself. I'm beautiful. I'm lovable. I'm smart, knowledgeable. When you say those things to yourself, especially for the first time, it can be very emotional because you realize just how much of a hurt little kid you really are. So I'm going to leave you, my friends, on a positive note. And I am going to tell you all out there that you're beautiful, you're loved, you're smart, you're amazing. And I want you to say those same things to yourself. And I want you to say them to somebody else. When you want to say something good to somebody else, just say it. You like somebody's haircut? Say it. You like somebody's dress? Say it. You like somebody's personality? Say it. Because it feels good. And what is it in the world if we're not out there helping people feel good about themselves? When we all feel broken and unworthy, and we're not. We're beautiful humans, all of us. So pay attention to what you consume. Pay attention to who's around you. Pay attention to how you feel when you're somewhere or with someone. If you feel drained afterwards, it takes a lot of mental energy or physical energy and you don't feel good, limit yourself. I am not a fan of cutting everything and everybody out of your life. I keep saying that people right now are in this culture of I'm just letting them go. I'm not gonna be around that person anymore. And I get it. But let me tell you, I have people that I love in my life that I feel drained around sometimes. I'm just not a fan of cutting people out. And so I don't know. I don't have the answers. I just know how I have to live my life and the things that I like to consume and the things that have changed over the years as I have been on this, self-discovery mission with all these life lessons in between. Everything has just changed for me. Like, I don't want to feel like crap. Cancer taught me anything. It's you just never know what's going to happen one day to the next. So why not have a good time? What do we truly have to complain about? Yes, we have hard times. Yes, our health can take a dip. But what do we need to focus on? We need to focus on what we can control. And honestly, when you look at it, it's not a heck of a lot. Most of it's out of our control. What we control is our mind. That's what we can control. And the things that we say and do to ourselves and to other people. So, all right, my friends, I'm going to leave you with that. Again, you're beautiful. You're amazing. I love you. And thank you for being here and listening to the Survivor's Chair podcast. Episode 7 started out with what we consume matters. I'm not sure where it went, but thanks for being here and thanks for your support. I'll see you next time on the Survivor's Chair. Thank you for tuning into the Survivor's Chair podcast. You can head over to my website, www.kimrussellpro.com. That's KIMRUSSELLPRO.com. You can catch up on my blogs. Follow me on social, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or TikTok. All the links will be in the show notes, and I'll see you next time in the Survivor's Chair.